Lagos, and I want to come to your own personal self. When you talk about, you're a very wealthy man.
How do you know?
Well, you know, I mean,
You are not my accountant.
I'm not in your account, but this is speculation, and it's fine. You can actually rebut it or not. When I look at some publications and they say they're worth 4 billion, some is even more than that, but you refuse to explain where your wealth comes from. I know where you live in Lagos. It's a massive, sprawling mansion that takes up nearly a quarter of a street in a very expensive suburb. Why do you refuse? I mean, don't Nigerians have the right to know where the wealth of their next leader comes from?
Because they got to know how to analyze and how to ask questions, not in the accusatory format. Are they enemy of wealth? If they are not enemy of wealth, investment do yield. I have an example of a Warren Buffett, one of the richest men in the country, in America and in the world. He started from stock buying and brokerages. I inherited great real estate. I turned the values around. I'm not denying my wealth. I've not been, I was the most investigated, the most accused governor in the opposition up to, from for 8 years and up to 2007. And since I left the office, I'm still there. I've not taken any government appointment, no government contract.
Yes, but some say the legacy you left in Lagos State was that, you were getting a share of the revenue that Lagos State was generating.
Hey, excuse me, share what? Have they proven it? The World Bank has, IMF has investigated the record in Lagos. What's wrong with them?
And I want to move away from that.
It's envy.
Outlined for us some of the sectors that you're involved with business-wise. Yet the perception lingers in some minds of corruption where you are concerned. Can you dispel that perception?
I have challenged the people of this country over and over and over again. If you have got any corruption case against me, please bring it up. Please bring it up. Nobody has come up with any corruption. Yes, I was accused of corruption just like any other person else in public office. And I was investigated and nothing was found. So what else do you want me to do?
Well, there are many who will admit readily, yes, that you're not being convicted in the court of law on the basis of charges.
But is there a way then you judge an individual?
No, the question that they are asking, those who raise the question, they say, well, you are considered one of the wealthiest Nigerians. They want to know, where is that wealth coming from, considering the fact that you were a public officer, and they say, how did you become so wealthy?
Unfortunately, the fact that you are a public officer does not stop you from engaging in business. I was telling somebody, the very first day I resumed duty at Idiroko border station, I was not even married. What I realized was that one of the most lucrative business ventures then was buying a Peugeot 404, putting bench at the back and conveying passengers between Lagos and Cotonou or Ajase, Porto Novo. And as a young officer, I walked into the ACOA in Apapa. I signed a form for hire purchase, and I took about 5 of them. And I came back to Idiroko, distributed them to drivers, and they were ferrying passengers between Lagos and Porto Novo, and I was making my money. So I have been doing business from day one.
Okay. if you were a public officer and you were doing business?
Then it didn't,
Wasn't
there
that
is,
the case
there,
of
there is
conflict of
nothing,
interest?
there is no conflict of interest. The fact that you are a public officer doesn't stop you from engaging in legitimate business. There is no law which says that you cannot engage in legitimate business because you are a public officer. No law. Go ahead to tell me the law.
Since local media organizations commenced publication of the leaked Pandora Papers, former Governor Peter Obi has been hard-pressed to deny the revelations on his secret business dealings overseas. Like similar document leaks before it, the Pandora Papers have helped to expose the concealed fortunes in offshore tax havens and, in some cases, money laundering by some of the most powerful people in the world. But in a statement, Obi dismissed a report by Premium Times, which disclosed that the former governor had concealed a number of offshore businesses and investments when he was at the helm of affairs in Anambra Times. Good morning, Mr. Obi, and thank you for coming on the morning show.
Good morning for inviting me, and good morning to the viewers.
Well, the obvious question to ask is, are you guilty as charged? Because you were named in the latest scandal, Pandora Papers, as one of those involving setting up a secret company for the purpose of money laundering, illegal purchase of properties overseas, while you were in office as governor of Anambra State.
Well, thank you. Number one is that I'm not guilty, charged. Trust company is a legitimate vehicle used everywhere globally for investment, savings, and estate planning purposes. It's allowed by law everywhere. In my particular case and that of my family, it was done on very valuable advice of our then bankers, Lloyds TSB. This is what they did to all their international clients who operated at the time I lived in the UK. They will help you to see that you formulate a trust company offshore, and that is what we did. This company was never used to launder money before, during, and after till date. So it wasn't used anytime I was in office for anything. Two, it was never used to buy property before I went into office, during the time I was in office, and after the time I was in office. It was strictly a trust company that savings and family planning that was strictly used to support our borrowings, which we even invested in this country.